Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I know it's been a minute since I've done one of these videos. I have been, without a doubt, busy. But let's get into it. What I decided to change up was instead of just doing 5 random questions, we're going to go through every one of the domains. And it's going to start off very light at the beginning, and then it's going to work its way up into difficulty. However, I want to point out this in no way at all is going to be concurrent with max level questions that you might see on Security Plus. This is more designed for people that are studying Security Plus, that are going through it, and they're doing a knowledge check. And so, do I understand the content? Some of it's very easy. Some of it, if you go through, will be exceptionally easy. And then towards the end, some of it will get a little bit hard, but I try to ingest some logging questions in there, as well as some scenario-based questions. So, let's see if we can get through. Each one of these little segments are going to be quite a bit longer than 5 questions. I think I'm averaging anywhere from 20 to, I think my max is almost 45 questions. And so hopefully get something out of this. Let's jump into it, shall we? Let's just get right into it. Question number one. Due to hardware limitations, the organization cannot implement a full disk encryption on all endpoints. Instead, it enables file-level encryption for critical documents. What type of control is file-level encryption in this scenario? What do you think? What do you think when this? Yeah, we're going back to those control types as we go through it. Now, I want to point out, as you're going through these questions, right? We need to knock it out about 45 seconds. 45 seconds is all the time you've got as we go through this. If you go much more than 45 seconds, you might have some issues with those PBQs, those performance-based questions at the end of the exam. All right, let's answer this one. Let's go right through it, right? Due to hardware limitations, the organizations cannot implement full disk encryption on all endpoints. Okay, no big deal. Instead, it enables file-level encryption for critical documents. What type of control is file-level encryption in this scenario? Directive control. Directive control would be if someone directs you to do something. It's very, very, very obvious, right? That would be like, hey, your boss comes over and says, hey, I need you to do this. That would be a directive control. Let's drop down to detective control. Detective control would be if after the fact something happens and then they log it, we're reviewing those logs, we're reviewing the cameras, we're doing something like that. And so it's not directive or detective. I'll give you about 5 seconds to re-guess if you went and guessed the wrong one, right? All right, at least preventive and compensating. Preventive control would be preventing something, and this could be established in preventive control or compensating control. We can't do this, so we're going to do this instead. Now, preventive control would be prevent something from enabled, and that's not exactly meeting the standard of what this question is going through. As a matter of fact, if we read the question carefully, it says, due to hardware limitations, the organization cannot implement full disk encryption. And so we can't meet this. And so we're going to do this. That's compensating control. That's compensating control. Did you get it right? If you did, awesome. Let's move on. Number 2, due to multiple unauthorized access attempts, the organization's firewall blocks incoming traffic on port 23. Port 23, what type of control is this? Bonus points if you know what protocol operates on port 23. Bonus points for that one. All right, I'll give you about 10, 15 seconds. I'm trying to do a little bit quicker on these questions. I got some people going, man, you're too slow on the questions. I'm ready to answer. I get that. Let's answer this one. Due to multiple unauthorized access attempts, the organization's firewall blocks traffic incoming on port 23. What type of control? What type of control is this? Let's start with detective. I think we've already identified what detective control is. That's a log. That's not this. That leaves preventive, compensating, and corrective. Now, we're not seeing this, so we're going to do this, and so it can't be compensating control. That leaves preventive or corrective. Preventive or corrective control. I'll give you about 5 seconds in case you got this one wrong. You want to take a re-guess. Preventive or corrective? Well, if you said preventive, I have some horrible news for you. You're right. Yeah, I know. Why isn't it corrective control? Corrective control would be there's a problem here that took place, and so I'm correcting that issue. And a lot of people confuse that with compensating control, and that's not the case. Corrective control is something bad happened, so I'm correcting it. Preventive control is I'm preventing something from taking place. And so if we see that, if we take port 23 and we're like, you know what, we're going to block it, we're going to get rid of it altogether, that would be preventive control. That would be preventive. There's the answer right there. All right, question number 3. The security team has developed a new policy that outlines the acceptable use of company-owned mobile devices. What type of control is being created and enforced by this policy? What do you think on this one? What do you think? I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. I know, I'm trying to speed it up. I do want to point out, if you have to guess, if you're going through your exam, and you have no idea, right? Or maybe you were like, I know it's not this one, but I have no clue, right? You're gonna, at the very top right hand side of your exam, you're gonna see this little bell icon, this little alert flag, I should say. You're gonna hit that. You're still gonna guess. You want to guess. Do not leave an unanswered question on Sec Plus. Don't do it. All right, let's answer this one. Security team has developed a new policy that outlines the acceptable use of company-owned mobile devices. What type of control is being created? Let's start with, let's do physical. I think we know it's not physical. I think that's an easy one. I think it's not compensating. We know it's not compensating control. Why isn't it physical? Physical would be a door. It'd be something that physically bars you from doing something. That's physical, right? In this case, that's not the case. So it's technical or managerial. Technical or managerial. I'll give you about 5 seconds on this one. If you guess technical control, you'd be incorrect. You'd be correct, right? The reason it's not a technical control is because there's no technology being used, right? We created a new policy. Anytime we see policy, anytime we see something written, that's going to be a managerial, can't talk today, or administrative control. Either one of those. And that's what we're going to do here. All right, so can't be that one. That's going to be managerial. There it is, right there. Question number 4. Due to delay in deploying MFA, do you remember what MFA stands for? Your organization restricts access to the network using IP whitelisting. What is IP and what is whitelisting? What type of control is IP whitelisting in this context? What do we think? What do we think on this one? I'm going to give you a quick 15 seconds on this one. Try to bust through these questions. I know. All right. Why don't I want to answer or leave a question blank? It's a timed exam, and every question you don't answer is against you, right? And so typical exam, 73 to 90 questions. I know it says 70, but I've never seen 170. I've never had a student come up to me and say, I only get 70 questions. Usually about 73 to 90 questions. And so if you leave a question black, right, you don't answer it, then you automatically get it wrong. And at least if you take a guess, you have a 25% chance of getting it right. So play the bets, right? All right, due to delay in deploying multi-factor authentication, the organization restricts access to Internet Protocol whitelisting. What type of control is IP whitelisting in this context? Let's just jump down to detective control. We can get rid of that one very easily. Get rid of that one right off the bat. That leaves corrective, preventive, and compensating. All of these are good answers, but only one is correct. Let's get rid of corrective. Get rid of corrective control. Why isn't it corrective control? Because we're not correcting anything bad that happened. We're not seeing that, right? And so we're seeing them restrict the network using IP whitelisting, but that's not a corrective action. That leaves compensating or preventive. And again, if you remember what we said before, it's going to be compensating. Due to delay, so this happened, and so we're doing this. That's compensating control. All right, so compensating right there. There we go. All right, number 5, your organization is conducting a risk assessment to identify and evaluate potential threats to its IT infrastructure. The following findings were documented. What type of control is being used in conducting a risk assessment? I said it. I love how it says the following findings were documented. I need to fix this question, but we're past that point. I'll give you a quick 15 seconds. What type of control is being conducted in a risk assessment? Right? What type of control is used in conducting a risk assessment? What do you think? What do you think on this one? Yeah, I'm not going to give you a lot of time. Let's cruise through this. Let's knock this one out. Let's get rid of corrective. Right? Again, nothing bad happened. Let's get rid of detective, because again, detective, there's no logs, there's no nothing like that, right? And so that leaves preventive or managerial. Preventive or managerial. If we read the question again, right, we can see right there that we're documenting something. We're doing a administrative action, right? We're writing stuff down. That is a managerial control. That's a managerial control, right? And that's where it is, right? Because we're documenting the findings. We're doing a risk assessment. Risk assessment is a document. It's where we're going through. We're writing down all the problems that we see, all the risks that we see, and we're doing an assessment on it. We're providing a number. That is not anything but a managerial action. Okay, there we go. All right, number 6, which of the following technical preventive control? Which of the following is a technical preventive control? My apologies. What do we think on this one? Very quick question. Give you about 20 seconds on this one. What do you think? All right, so if I'm looking at 4 answers and I can knock off 1 answer, right, then that means I have a 33% chance of getting it right. If I can knock off 2 answers, I have a 50%. If I knock off 3, I know what the answer is, right? And so use that to your advantage. Use that to your advantage. Remember, never leave a question unanswered. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, let's answer this one. Which of the following is a technical preventive control? Let's get rid of incident response plans. Obviously not technical nature. Obviously a plan that's managerial. Not going to be it. Security awareness training. Again, not technical. Training is usually done in person, usually done with a facilitator, even if it's not technical in nature. Even if you do it online and you're using a VM, it doesn't matter. It's still not considered a technical control. And so when we look at technical preventive control, it's either security cameras or firewalls. Either one could be it. I'll give you about 15 seconds to guess. Well, about 5. 3, 2, 1. It's going to be firewalls. It's going to be firewalls because firewalls actually prevent something. Security cameras do not. They don't prevent anything. You can watch something, you can review the videos, you could do that, but they do not prevent anything. And so firewall is going to be the answer on this one. There we go. There it is. Number 7, which technical detective control identifies unauthorized access attempts? Technical detective control. Give you about 20 seconds on this one, 15, 20 seconds. Right. Yeah, so I'm almost out of hints. I'm almost out of my normal hints, right? You want to pace yourself. Okay, listen, a lot of students, when they take the Security Plus exam, one of their biggest problems they face is time management. Security Plus is almost as much about time management as it is about answering the questions, because you've only got that 45 seconds, like I said. If you spend more than 30 seconds on a lot of questions, you're going to run into time problems. You are. So be aware of that. All right, let's answer this one. Which technical detective control identifies unauthorized access attempts? Technical detective control. Let's get rid of IPS. I feel like that's an easy one to get rid of, right? IPS, intrusion prevention system. It's in the name, preventive control, not detective control. We can get rid of that one. IDS, intrusion detection, right? That one is a possibility because it is detective control. It does detect stuff. It's in the name. So B is a possible. Encryption protocols, not really detecting anything, right? More of a preventive control if I had to push it somewhere. Right, because it's encrypting something, it's maintaining that confidentiality. And then we have access control lists, which could also be considered a little bit of a control there. So it really comes between B and D. B and D, I'll give you about 5 seconds. IDS or ACL. It's going to be IDS. Intrusion detection system is a detective control. It is also technical in nature. Access control list, ACL, not so much. Not so much. It's more of a preventive control. Honestly. So we can get rid of that one. So there it is, IDS. There we go. Number 8, which managerial control is considered directive? Which managerial control is considered directive? I'll give you a hot 15 seconds on this one as we go through. I know. It's going quick, isn't it? We're already at question 8. And how long have we been doing this for? It hasn't been that long. I think it's been like 7 minutes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe a little bit longer. All right, which managerial control is considered directive? Let's get rid of employee workstation encryption. I feel like that's an easy one to get rid of. Let's knock off C right off the bat. And with that, I think we can get rid of B too. Firewall configuration. More, not really directive, right? It's more of technical in nature, I would say, for firewall configuration. Same with employee workstation encryption. More technical in nature. We're looking for a managerial control. So that leaves surveillance monitoring or security policy creation. What do you think on this one? Give you a hot 15 seconds. I said 15, but I meant 5. All right. If you said surveillance monitoring, you would be 100% incorrect. Incorrect. That is more of a detective control, not a directive, not a managerial, right? And so security policy creation, that is a managerial control, and it's a directive. Somebody is creating and directing you to do something. That is a policy. That's going to be our answer, A, right there. There we are. All right, question number 9. What is an example of managerial compensating control? Ooh, we're getting into the thick of things. Managerial compensating control. What do you think on this one? What do you think? I'm going to give you about 10 seconds on this one. 10 seconds. I know there's a lot of words there, but I figure you can pause the video if you need to. I feel like that's something you're capable of doing. All right, let's answer this one. Let's get into it. What is an example of a managerial compensating control? Deploying two-factor authentication on devices. I feel like that is very much not a managerial control. Very much not, right? Installing physical barriers and entry points. Again, not a managerial control, more of a physical control, more of a preventive control, but definitely not a managerial control. Using encryption to protect sensitive data or increased employee training. Which one? Which one? Which one? C or D? Give me about 5 seconds as you think about this one. If you said D, increased employee training, you'd be correct. It is 100%. It's going to be increased employee training. That is both a managerial compensating control. Why is it compensating? Because we're requiring employee training. That's going to compensate for some problems that we see. I know, get a little bit tricky on that one. When in doubt, look at the first one, right? Managerial. Is using encryption on protective systems to protect systems managerial? No, it is not. And so with this one, we can kind of just understand that it's a managerial control. But yeah, there we go. All right, number 10. Which operational control is primarily corrective? Which one is a corrective control? What do you think? What do you think? I know. I'll give you another 10 seconds to answer this one. Try and get through these pretty quick. We still have, oh my gosh, 22 left after this one. Yeah, we got a few on this one. All right, which control is primary corrective control? Conducting a pen test. I don't know anybody that would say a pen test is corrective. More of you could even say detective, maybe kind of, kind of, yeah. All right, D, creating an incident response plan. I like an incident response plan, but is it a corrective control? No, it is not. Installing motion detection sensors or reconfiguring a server after a detected breach. Which one is a corrective control? I'll give you B or C. What do you think? If you said B, reconfiguring a server or a detected breach, absolutely correct, right? This happened, this bad thing happened, detected a breach, and so we're doing this. And that's going to be what we're doing here. That's a corrective control. There we go. 11. What is an example of an operational preventive control? Operational preventive control. I know. What do you think on this one? This one gets a little bit more difficult. I told you they get a little bit more difficult as we go through. I did. I told you. All right. Give you about 5 more seconds to answer this one as I muddle through and talk in your ear. Yes, you can always pause that video. All right. What is an example of an operational preventive control? Let's start with D, disaster recovery planning. I like disaster recovery planning, but that is not a preventive control. Incident response playbooks. Again, another managerial control. Not really what I would consider to be operational preventive control. That leaves audit log review or routine software patching. I'll give you about 2 seconds. Right, 1, 2. If you said audit log reviews, you would be incorrect. That would be detective. Not really preventive control. Routine software patching is going to be preventive, right? Also operates in that operational space. There it is. Number 12, which of the following is a physical deterrent control? Physical deterrent control. There we go. Give you about 10 seconds left on this one. I know I'm trying to speed things up a little bit for my other students. I know how much you guys love this stuff. I could tell. All right, which of the following is a physical deterrent control? Let's start with incident response teams. I like incident response teams. I think they're great, but physical control, they are not. Biometric scanners. Is a biometric scanner a physical control? Does it deter anybody? I would say maybe. Maybe. B, disk encryption. I think we can agree disk encryption is not a physical control. It's more of a technical control. And then security guards at entrances. So between A and C, which one is a physical deterrent control? A and C. Biometric scanners or security guards. If you said biometric scanner, you would be incorrect. It's security guards at entrances. Why? Having security guards walk around is a deterrent control. Why? Because criminals look at it and go, "Hey, I don't want to break into that place. I'm probably going to get arrested, or something negative will happen to me." So I'm deterring people, right? Signs would be another good example of a deterrent control. So we see that, right? So A is going to be the correct answer. There it is. 13. Which physical control is directive? Which one is directive? All right. I know I'm not going to give you a lot of time. 10 seconds on the clock. There we go. Let you go through this one. What do you think? Which one is a physical control is directive? All right. Fire suppression systems. I like fire suppression systems. Signs indicating restricted access areas. Another good one. Fences around a building. Ooh. I don't think they're directing anything. I don't think you're going to see that. It is definitely a physical control, though. And then biometric access points. Biometric, another one that is technically not a directive control. That leaves fire suppression or signs. I think I pretty much gave you the answer to the last one. which is signs. Signs are a directive control. It is a physical control. It really is. And I want you to think about this, right? The signs are indicating that it's a restricted access, or I'm directing you with the sign not to do this, right? So we go through that. I'm sorry, my phone went off. Let me mute that sucker so it doesn't do that again. There it is. Signs indicating restricted access. There we go. All right, number 14. Which control type focuses on reducing the likelihood of an incident? Likelihood of an incident. This one's pretty easy, I feel like. I'll give you about 10 seconds on the clock. Corrective, preventive, detective, or compensating. Which one's going to reduce the likelihood of an incident? Let's get right to it. Detective controls are always after the fact. So they are not it. Corrective controls are always after the fact. So not going to do it. And so B and D. B and D are going to be your top two answers on the board. I'll give you about 5 seconds on the clock for this one. What do you think? If you said compensating controls, you would be incorrect. It's preventive controls. Preventive controls. That one is going to reduce the likelihood of an incident. Compensating controls do this too, but that's not their the primary. The better answer is preventive. The better answer is preventive. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, there we go. 15. Which of the following is an example of detective control? Which one is detective control? I think this is our first detective control question as we go through this. Give me another 8 seconds on the clock before we do this. Trying to knock these questions out. Trying to get them knocked out pretty quick as we go through. I know we still got quite a few to go through. What do you think on this one? All right, let's answer this one. Creating a backup policy. I like backup policies. I really do. Is a backup policy a detective control? Maybe. Maybe. B, installing antivirus software. I think we can agree that is not a detective control. It detects, but it also prevents, right? And so not really. Access control system, an AC, right? ACL, access control system, access control. You know what I mean. Access control system. That'd be like a maybe a policy or a key card on a door, right? So we do access control there. That would be an access control system. We could also consider username and login as being access control. Not really detective. Yes, there's logs, but that's not their primary. That's not their primary. And so creating a backup policy or security audits are the top two answers on the board. I'll give you about 2 seconds on this one. All right, if you said security audits, yes, 100%. Security audits are definitely a detective control. That is like the quintessential, if I had to put it on a silver pedestal and said, that is a detective control, security audits would be it. Why? Because what do we audit? We audit logs. We audit logs, and that's what's going on there. All right, so there we go. 16. Which control type addresses security gaps when the primary solution is unavailable? Which control type addresses security gaps when the primary solution is unavailable? What do you think on this one? Directive, corrective, compensating, or preventive? Let's jump into this one. I feel like this one's pretty easy. I feel like we've covered this one. Which control type addresses security gaps when the primary solution is not available? I think we know it's not directive. It's not preventive, right? So it's not A and it's not D. That leaves corrective or compensating. Corrective or compensating. Give you about 2 seconds to figure this one out. 1, 2, there we go. It's compensating. This can't be used, so we're going to use this. Primary, and then we're going to use a secondary solution. That's compensating controls. All right, there we go. Number 17, what is an example of a corrective control? Which one is an example of a corrective control? Give you about 10 seconds on the clock. There are a lot of words on this one. Let you read through it. What do you think? What do you think on this one? Lots of great answers on this. I think I'm going to have to move my picture over for the scenario-based questions. Matter of fact, I might do that now. I'll have to wait to the next question. I know, you get to see me moving that around while you're in the video. Gotta love YouTube, right? All right, let's answer this one. What is an example of a corrective control? Updating firewall rules after a breach. Could be. Monitoring access logs for suspicious activity. That's more of a detective control. Installing physical lock on a server room. Consider that more physical control. Conducting regular employee training. A and D are going to be the top answers on the board. Conducting regular employee training. I'm just going to go ahead and answer this one. That is an administrative or directive control. It's going to be updating firewall rules after a breach. That's going to be the answer. That's right there. There we go. All right. 18. Which is an example of a deterrent control? Which one's the deterrent control? I know we're getting into this. I feel like you guys are probably well on your way to being an expert in this one. I know. That was the goal. All right, I'm gonna move my picture as we're doing this. Go. There we are. move that sucker right there. I feel like that's a good spot for it. There we go. All right. Let's answer this one. Which is an example of a deterrent control? Encrypting confidential data. I like encrypting confidential data, but not a deterrent. Reviewing incident response metrics. Could be. Security awareness posters. Could be. Implementing an IDS. More of a detective control. Not really a deterrent. So B and C are going to be the top answers on the board. I'll give you about 2 seconds on this one. If you said reviewing incident response metrics, I got some really bad news for you. That's not correct. It's going to be security awareness posters. Deterrent control is all about deterring somebody from doing something. Deterring an action from happening. That is a deterrent control, so C is going to be your answer on that one. There it is. All right, number 19. What is the primary focus of a managerial preventive control? Primary focus of managerial preventive control. I know we're getting we're double tagging on these. What do you think? I'll give you about 5 more seconds on the clock. You can always pause. You can always pause that video. All right. What is the primary focus of managerial preventive control? Reviewing access logs. That's a deterrent control, not a preventive. Restricting access to server rooms. Oh, that's definitely a preventive control. That is definitely preventive control. Encrypting sensitive files. Another preventive control. Creating and enforcing security policies. Oh, another preventive control. So we have 3 preventive controls. Which one is managerial? Let's get rid of encryption. I feel like C is an easy one to get rid of. So restricting access or creating and enforcing security policies. Which one would be a managerial preventive control? I think you know it's going to be D. It's going to be D, right? Those policies are a dead giveaway. It's written word. That's managerial. There it is. Number 20. Which technical directive control ensures compliance with password policies? So we're looking for a technical control that is also directive. That's our goal for this one. Give you a hot 15. We'll give you 10. 10 seconds. 10 seconds on the board for this one. I know we're wrapping up. We've only got 12 more questions after this one. All right. Which technical directive control ensures compliance with password policies? Installing antivirus software. I feel like we all know that an antivirus software does not have anything to do with password policies. We get rid of that one. Reviewing network activity logs. Ooh. Reviewing network activity logs. That one could. I mean, if you think about it, password policies, I can look at the network logs. I can see those passwords coming in. I can see how they're being active. Maybe. Monitoring data transfers. Ooh, another good one. I feel like reviewing network activity logs and monitoring data transfers are both the same thing, but I feel like activity for logs is more succinct, right? Because we can actually see the logs. We're actually reviewing them. We're monitoring data transfers just as data. And so B is the better answer, I think, on that one. And then enforcing password complexity requirements. I feel like the surefire winner here is actually D. I feel like if you don't pick D, you're second guessing yourselves. By the way, yes, I misled you. I am mean. I did it. All right. Let's go to 21. What type of control is designed to mitigate risk after a breach? Which one is designed to mitigate risk after a breach? I feel like we've got this one. I'm not going to give you a lot of time. I'm going to give you like 5 seconds. I feel like you've got this. I feel like we've covered this before. All right, what type of control is designed to mitigate risk after a breach? Let's start with D. Detective. No, we are not detecting something. It is not. It's after the breach, yes, but it doesn't mitigate it. It's to find out the problem. Deterrent control is a sign we're trying to deter something. This has already occurred, so that can't be the case. Let's get rid of C. That leaves preventive or corrective. I think we know, based on my past slew of comments, that it's got to be corrective. Because it's something happened, we're correcting that issue after something bad happened. That's corrective control. That is. All right, 22. Which operational directive control can mitigate insider threats? Which one can mitigate insider threats? Very succinct policy. Let's just jump into this one. Let's start with D. Data loss prevention solutions. DLP solutions. I like DLP solutions. And could a DLP mitigate insider threats? 100% it could. 100% it could. So possible on D. Disaster recovery plans. I don't really see a disaster recovery plan and have a DRP being anything to do with insider threats. I mean, especially mitigate. It's usually after the fact. So no. B, training on social engineering attacks. Another great answer, especially for insider threats, especially for social engineering. I would consider that to be a possibility. And then clean desk policies. Ooh, another good one. So we have 3 good ones, A, B, and D. Let's get rid of insider threats. Let's get rid of B, training on social engineering attacks. I feel like that's of the three, that's the worst one. That leaves DLP and clean desk. That leaves those two. All right, A and D. I'm going to give you 2 seconds. Did you get your answer? All right. If you said DLP solution, you'd be incorrect. Why? Because it's operational directive control. Clean desk policy. Policy is a directive. I'm directing you to do something. DLP is more of a technical in nature. And so A is going to be the correct answer on this one. There we go. All right. Which physical control is preventive? Which physical control is preventive? Give you a hot 10 seconds to answer this question as we read through. You can always pause it. I know you can. I know you've got this. All right. Which physical control is preventive? Let's answer this one. Reviewing video surveillance footage. No, that is detective. Deploying penetration testing teams. Ooh. I mean, maybe. Let's go to C. Installing signs about restricted areas. That's more deterrent, right? And then biometric access controls. Ooh, another good one. And so which one is preventive? Those are both preventive in my book, B and D. But which one is the physical control? If you said D, you'd be correct. It's definitely, because it's a biometric access control. Deploying penetration test, not a physical control. Not a physical. I mean, you can make the argument for physical pen testing, which I get, but that's more a detective control. It's not really preventive. I know I lied. And so D is going to be the answer. All right, 24. What control type is primarily responsible for guiding behavior? Which one guides behavior? What do you think on this one? I feel like this is an easy one. Give you 10 seconds. Give you 10 seconds on this one. Almost rounding it. I set up my new office. You probably could tell as part of my process. I need to put a light down. I do. I feel like I need to do that. All right. What control type is primarily responsible for guiding behavior? Corrective is after the fact. If I'm going to guide something, I want it to be preventive. Is a preventive control, does that guide something? Maybe. Directed control, we're directing something to happen. It could be. And then detective control after the fact. So B and C are top answers on the board. It's going to be directive. It's going to be directive. I'm directing your behavior. That's what it is. I'm directing your behavior. That's going to be the answer. 25. Which compensating control ensures secure access when biometric systems fail? Ooh. Which compensating control ensures secure access when biometric systems fail? Going to be 9 seconds. 9 seconds on the board. What do you think? I know. All right, let's jump into this one. Let's start with D. Access control reviews. I feel like a review could 100% be something that we need to do. 100% could be. So maybe on that one. C. Security guards posted at every entry point. That is definitely a compensating control, right? If we know our areas are not secure because the biometric system failed, right? And people can just walk through our doors. Having a security guard there, I like that answer. I really do. I think it's better than D. So I'm going to get rid of D. Password-based fallback systems. Ooh, another good one. And then A, enhanced encryption protocols. Not really going to do anything when biometric system failed. That's just enhancing the system. All right, so B and C. B and C are going to be the top answers on the board. Security guards or password-based fallback systems. Which one do you like better? If you said C, security guards posted every entry points, I'm going to say you're incredibly unrealistic. Okay? Think about this. We want something that's technical in nature. It has to be a control that can happen anytime. If I have to deploy security guards every time a system fails, that's a problem. That means that I have to have those security guards there all the time. That's not realistic. Not realistic. And so B is going to be the better answer. Right there. I know. Did I fool you? Was I mean? Probably. All right, 26. All right, getting into the better questions in my book. All right, an internal audit reveals that many employees have weak passwords that do not meet organizational security standards. The organization wants to reduce the likelihood of unauthorized access through password-related vulnerabilities. What type of control should the organization apply to address this issue? I'm going to give you a hot 15 seconds because I know you can pause the video. All right, I would give you more time, but I feel like that's enough considering this, right? Read the question. When you see these scenario-based questions, read it. And then read the answers. And then reread what is the question actually asking me. Not what I think it's asking me. What is it actually asking me, which is usually the last sentence. In this case, what type of control should the organization apply to address this issue? All right, let's Let's tackle this one, okay? An internal audit reveals that many employees have weak passwords that do not meet organizational security standards. That's a problem. The organization wants to reduce the likelihood of unauthorized access through password-related vulnerabilities. So we have a password problem. What type of control should the organization apply to address this issue? Let's start with preventive. I like preventive control. I do. I don't think it's the best answer, though. Corrective. I think corrective is a decent answer on this one. I really do. We have this problem, and so let's correct it with this issue. Let's correct it through this, right? And definitely could be the answer. Administrative control, right? Do we create a policy to fix this issue, or a technical control? Do we use a technical control to fix this issue? Of the three, corrective, administrative, and technical, I don't like corrective. I think admin and technical are better answers across the board. So I'm going to give you a second to answer. If you guessed A or B, here's your opportunity to guess C or D. Okay? Give you another 2 seconds. All right. If you said technical control, I could see why you went that way, but that is not the right answer. It is 100% administrative control, because if we read the question, an internal audit reveals that many employees have weak passwords that do not meet organizational security standards. We have a standard in place, right? The standard is not being met. The organization wants to reduce the likelihood of unauthorized access through password-related vulnerabilities. That's fine. We have vulnerabilities for password. What type of control should the organization apply to address this issue? Most of you would go, okay, I want to do a technical control, and I get that. Myself as a cyber person, I want to go that route too. But the question isn't asking that. This is a hard question, and the reason is because of the policy in place. The standard that's in place needs to be reworked, right? We need to provide some teeth to it, and that's going to be administrative control. That's why, okay? All right. Number 27. Your organization conducts quarterly risk assessments to identify potential vulnerabilities in its systems and develop strategies to mitigate those risks. This process involves in analyzing existing controls, evaluating potential threats, and recommending improvements to the overall security posture. What type of control does this process exemplify? What type of control does this process exemplify? I'm going to give you a hot 15 seconds on this one. All right? I know, we're getting into the weeds on this. Good news. We've only got like 5 more questions after this one. Maybe 4. What do you think? All right, let's answer this one. Your organization conducts quarterly risk assessments to identify potential vulnerabilities in its systems and develop strategies to mitigate those risks. Fantastic. Do I need to know it? No. This process involves analyzing existing controls, evaluating potential threats, and recommending improvements to the overall security posture. What type of control does this process exemplify? Directive control. Are we directing something? Possibly. We're directing through the process of going, hey, we want you to do this, this, and this. So maybe. Corrective control. I think we can agree that it's not a corrective control. We're not seeing something negative happen to correct. And so, not going to be it. Managerial control. I think managerial control fits really well with this because we're analyzing stuff, we're evaluating potential threats, we're recommending improvements. That sounds like admin work to me, and that's managerial. So A and D, both good answers. And then technical control. While we're analyzing existing controls, and those controls could be technical in nature, we're doing paperwork on it. So I feel like managerial control fits better. So it really comes back into directive or managerial. A and C are going to be our best answers on the board. Which one do you think fits better? I'm going to give you 2 seconds. It's going to be managerial. Why not directive control? You'll notice there's nothing on there about policies. There's nothing on there about standards. And even if there were, we're analyzing the controls. We're analyzing potential threats. We're analyzing recommended improvements, right? That's managerial. We're not directing anybody. We're not writing a policy out of it. We're just analyzing it. That's managerial. And so C is going to be the best answer. All right, 28. A company is developing a new web application to handle sensitive customer information. The IT department wants to ensure that attackers cannot exploit vulnerabilities in the application to access customer data. Which type of control should be implemented to protect the application? What do you think? What type of control? I'm going to give you a hot 10 seconds. Hot 10 seconds on this one. Got about 4 seconds left. I know. Am I stumping you? I am curious how you're doing. And speaking of how you're doing, I know I'm going to take my segue now. If you find this helpful, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. I really would. I know it's a little thing. It's a little thing. All right. A company is developing a new web application to handle sensitive customer information. The IT department wants to ensure that attackers cannot exploit vulnerabilities in the application to access customer data. Which type of control should be implemented to protect this information, protect the data? the application. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk. Corrective control. Something bad happened, so we did this. That's not the case here. Nothing bad happened, so we can't do that. Administrative control. I like administrative control. I do. Could it be the right answer? Maybe. Detective control. We're not trying to detect anything. Detective control is after the fact. And again, same with corrective control. Nothing bad's happened, so we can't detect anything. And then preventive control. Preventive control. All right, so it really comes down to admin or preventive control. I'll give you a hot 2 seconds on this one. It's going to be preventive. 100%. 100%. We're trying to protect it, right? And so preventive control makes the most sense. There it is. All right, 29. During a routine scan, the IT team identifies a system that has been compromised by ransomware, which has encrypted critical business files. Ooh, ransomware attack. The affected system must be restored to operational status quickly to minimize downtime. What type of control should the IT team implement to address this situation? I feel like you guys got this one. I feel like this is an easy one. I really do. Give me about 2 more seconds. I really do. All right. Shall we start with D? Deterrent control. Not a deterrent. Not a deterrent. Something bad happened, and so we need to do this. Preventive control. Something bad has already happened, so it can't be preventive. Administrative control. No, we're not doing policy. It's corrective. It's 100% corrective. I feel like this was an easy one. I probably should have put this one at the beginning. All right, it's going to be A. There it is. All right, 30. Let's get into the logs, right? Your company has surveillance cameras installed at all entrances. The following footage was recorded. What type of control is this? We have a little bit of a log here. What type of control is this? What do we think? I'll give you another 5 seconds. I feel like this is an easy one. I like to put the logs in there. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. All right, let's start with D, corrective control. No, it's not corrective control. Deterrent control. Surveillance cameras are a deterrent control. They 100% are. Because if someone sees a security camera, which we put them in obvious spots, it deters them from happening. And so, maybe. Preventive control. I don't think a security camera is preventing anybody from doing anything, right? It's just watching. And then detective control. So it's really A and C. And a security camera is both a detective control and a deterrent control. It's both. It really is. So which one makes more sense on this question? If we read the question, your company has surveillance cameras installed at all entrances. The following footage was recorded. That's the key. The following footage was recorded. That's the key. Recorded information is detective information. It's going to be A. Did you get one of them right? Yeah, I know. It's tricky. There we go. Question 31. The endpoint protection system generates the following alert. What type of control is being demonstrated? Here we have Trojan detection, quarantined and removed, workstation number 12. What type of control is being implemented in this case, right? We have preventive. I'm sorry. Let me give you 5 seconds. I know. I'm mean. There we go. All right. Let's start with preventive. Preventive control. No. The Trojan's been detected. If it's been detected, it can't be preventive, right? That's like putting the cart before the horse. So I think we can agree that's not the case. Corrective control. Something bad happened, and then we can see the quarantine removed. Maybe. Detective control. There is a log. And since there is a log, it can be a detective control. And then deterrent control, not so much. So it's really B or C. B or C. Was it a corrective or detective control that was implemented in this case? What do you think? I know it's difficult. If you said detective control, right? If you said detective control, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's incorrect. Why? The endpoint protection system generates the following alert. Yes, and it's an alert, but it's being demonstrated. The demonstration here is that the Trojan was detected and it was quarantined and removed. That's being demonstrated, not that we provided the log. And so B is going to be the right answer on this one. All right, there we go. All right, last one, last question. An analyst finds the following data entry in a security log. What type of control is being applied? We see encrypted AES 256, internal database server, external backup storage. What do you think on this one? All right, give you a quick 10 seconds on this one. Oh my gosh, you can tell at the end of these questions I'm spent. I'm ready to call it a day. All right, let's answer this one. An analyst finds the following data entry in a security log. What type of control is being applied? Let's start with D, directive control. No, nothing's being directed. Let's get rid of that one. Technical, I think so. Technically, if we look at this, technically it's a technical control. I know, right? It's being encrypted on the internal database server. on internal backup storage. You can't get more technical than that, right? So maybe. Corrective control. Corrective control. I'm not seeing anything happen, and so we did something else, right? I'm not seeing that. And then compensating control. Compensating control. Maybe. Maybe on that one. It really comes between compensating or technical control, right? Because we do see a source internal database server going to destination external backup storage. Is that a compensating control? Is it? All right, let's answer this one. An analyst finds following data entry in the security log. What type of control is being implemented here? It's a technical control. It's a technical control. We're automatically figuring out. Why isn't it compensating? Because nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that, hey, we're supposed to meet this standard, and so we need to move to this standard, right? We can't meet this standard, so let's use this. We're not seeing that here. There's nothing about the standard. There's nothing about that being in the case. And so it's going to be technical control. There it is, right there, technical control. All right. I hope this was helpful. Congratulations, 32 questions on categories and control types. How'd you do? How'd you do with those 32 questions? Throw your comment in below. Until next time, I'm Dr. K. We'll see you again. Hopefully put out more videos more often. We'll see you again. Bye.